This is actually my third Skillfest. I wish it was my fourth. And honestly, it's amazing how much things have changed since number one, when we were talking about building individual skills, now to number four, where we're looking at complex adaptive systems and generativity. And our models of thinking have had to shift in the meantime too to adapt to a more complex world. So take this quote, for example, that I absolutely live by as a young adult. And the full quote reads, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others." So, a few years ago, I interpreted this as essentially be the best you can be and inspire people to do the same. And that's exactly what I did. Graduated top of the class. Started to spiral downhill with the endurance races, ran 50-milers, which turned into Ironman, which turned into Spartan Race World Championships that I qualified for, which turned into Tough Mudder, World's Toughest Mudder, where I froze my ass off for 48 hours straight. Which spiraled downhill to working out with the world's fittest man and endurance strongman, which is like polar opposites. They're just laughing at each other, long distance running and strongman at the same time. Now, that was brutal. And then it kind of bottomed out when I signed up and competed in the death race, right? You can ask me about that one later, that's But really, I kept going through this, trying to let my own light shine, and I realized, looking back on this quote, that really, this idea that I've been living my life by was incomplete. So that was basically me, through my childhood and college years, right? Trying to be the best I could be. Who do you think that is? You. Didn't expect that, did you? So, I was the president actually of the breakdance club, the breaking club, which, by the way, is the original hip-hop dance. Right? For 3 of the 4 years, I was there. Right? Oh, by the way, you're all dancing today? No, just kidding. I won't make you stand up and dance.
I want to see it.
I know, this is what I always get, right? So I've never judged a book by its cover, but I actually have never shared this story for a couple reasons. I don't want to represent hip-hop or the dance, because that's certainly not my culture or place. But number two, I've had this idea going around in my mind ever since Skillfest 1, which is all about learning. And I ran it by someone last year, and they said, you know what, that's probably not something you should share out loud. So, what am I doing today? I'm going to share it with all of you, right? Because I've come to realize that ultimately this isn't about me. It's how we as a group created a community, and in hindsight, it was based on some of the principles around generativity, and we'll get into that model in a second. So of course my family was thrilled with this, so they weren't too fond of my hobby. They suggested my time would be better spent in labs, studying, and more appropriate professional clubs, right? They saw this hobby as a zero-sum game. So the amount of time that I spent in the breaking club was direct money that I was paying for in tuition that was just flushed down the toilet, right? That's how they were seeing it. And it's somewhat representative of how some of us in the nation think as a whole. We sometimes get caught up so much in the grind of individual accomplishment and winning and losing that we lose sight of that big picture, right? We've got examples of Little League kids calling out refs, yelling at their kids in the middle of the game, calling out coaches for not putting the team on the field with the best chance of winning, and these are like kids that are this tall, right? So why are we so obsessed with winning? I mean, even the pros, Yogi Berra, who almost never said a serious thing in his life, actually thought this was important enough to be serious about. He said, I tell the kids, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. Just don't fight about it, just try to get better. Oh, by the way, do you know how hard it is to find a quote about winning is everything and the benefits of that? That's why you don't see it up there, right? No one has a quote up here that says, winning is everything. It's the most important thing in the world. So why do we care so much about it? If both winning and losing contribute to learning and growth, the question is, how do we get everyone to join and stay in the game? And that's where we get into model generativity. So you can think of it as basically three parts. You've got your acorn and your sun, and that's basically your intrinsic potential. We'll call that as a section. Then you have environmental conditions in the middle, and then you have the resulting outcome at the end. If you forget all this stuff, go onto genlocal.org. You go into what is generativity. You got all the information on each of these individual elements in the model, if you ever want to look it up in the future. Right? So let's go through them real quick. So the acorn, you as an individual are an acorn, and encoded within you is a unique possibility as a thriving oak. So that's reaching your full potential. You're not a pine tree. You're never going to become a pine tree, right? Your thriving oak and your unique potential are, of course, unique. The sun, on the other hand, is our never-ending energy source. Okay? It really enlightens us to pursue our unique personal calling. It's our true north, our reason for being, our big why, and it guides us to grow and flourish. That's our intrinsic potential. Now we get into environmental conditions. The soil is the structure and culture where we receive our nutrients. We, within our communities, can all work this soil, right, to create the conditions for all acorns, all individuals, to germinate and grow. Rain is relationships. So water connects the tree to nutrients that are critical to growth and flourishing. Raindrops, the individual raindrops, are relationships and connections we build and the support that we give to each other. So as plants, we make up about 90% of water. We too consist primarily of relationships with each other if we want to prevent our own personal well-being. And finally, air. Air brings the intangible, so that's carbon dioxide, into the tangible, the carbon and structure of the tree, through photosynthesis. So learning is the air that brings our intangible knowledge into basically tangible embodied action and learning for our own fulfillment and development. The resulting outcome, if all this is successful, is your own unique thriving oak tree. So by keeping focus on the sun's calling while attending to our environmental conditions, so that's creating a generative culture, connecting with others, absorbing our learning, we're destined to become our own flourishing oak tree. So this is the model as a whole. And really, the great thing about this is it can be applied at multiple scales. So as individuals, neighborhoods, communities, and society, this model of generativity enables us to thrive to our fullest potential. When we live in communion with each other, we can create and innovate in service to each other so that we can all achieve our fullest potential. So I think this provides an appropriate advantage to individuals who are willing to think this way. Because really, we're living in an increasingly complex and adaptive world. Right? The challenges we face today exist in a living and dynamic society. It's always changing. And our old mental models of some mechanical structure that you can tweak here and fix there will solve the problems really aren't going to work anymore. You don't have one individual within our society that is capable of obtaining all the knowledge and understanding in order to put effective solutions in place. So perhaps on one hand, we could design some magic bean, right, to overcome the deficiencies in our environment, right, like Jack in the beanstalk. Right? But what happens when those environmental conditions change? Right? That plant might wilt. Also, if you think about it in a realistic sense, the success of an individual doesn't create a thriving community, and frankly, we haven't figured out how to genetically modify people into magic beans yet. Yet being the key word. Also, if you see in industry, usually these advanced problem-solving techniques that you need to address problems in a complicated manner are limited. Right? So we have trouble keeping up with the rapid change of society and continuing to create those new magic beans, continuing to trial a variety of seeds that work in a particular environment. Because the environment changes, then we have to redevelop all over again, right? So what if we took a different approach? What if we took a generative approach? So what if we focused on the environmental conditions, constantly working the soil, improving the soil, giving access to clean air, to an abundance of water, right? This would enable growing conditions for every seed to germinate and thrive. Now, really, if we just take the steps to unleash everyone's unique potential and direct it in the appropriate way, this alone honestly could create the solutions that would address today's problems, and it would be flexible enough to address the uncertainty of tomorrow's problems too. So it's really a mind shift from treating the symptoms, as we talked about before, to creating an environment where everyone can leverage their unique potential and grow in whatever way the community needs. All right, back to the fun stuff. So this is really great in theory, right? But what does it look like? So I was thinking back through a number of experiences, and back at Purdue, going back to the original quote, I was trying to let my own light shine, and that was almost really literally, I was working at the labs at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I looked out the window, and what I assumed were business majors were stumbling home drunk from the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning as well. Apologies to any business majors out there. But you had one guy doing a little bit of a singing in the rain dance where he was like spinning around a pole, right? And I don't know why, but it was that moment in time that I just felt isolated and disconnected, sitting there in front of a computer screen in a lab while people were out there connecting and enjoying themselves. And so I actually learned to dance a little bit in high school. And I looked in the directory, found this group called the Boilermakers. And I decided to show up to a practice, and there were about 4 to 5 people in the basement of one of the lecture halls. And the floor is like granite. It's the hardest, I think, substance known to man. It hurt, right? But everyone was super supportive. They were willing to teach. I had enough knowledge that I was able to help others, right? And suddenly I started to feel connected, like I actually belonged, like I was able to contribute. So this continued a little bit. You see me hiding up there in the top right. So we practiced outside in the summer, wherever we could find room in the winter. Summer sessions actually drew some other experienced dancers in the area, different styles. So some of them will be spinning on their heads, right? That's called a traditional power move. Some of them have a lot of musicality. They can hit whatever beat is thrown at them. And some people are breakers, some people pop, wave, lock, club dance, house dance. We got all these styles together. And we grew to about 10 to 15 people. And we started learning from each other. So one of us saw someone else doing something cool. We said, "Oh, hey, how did you do that? Can you teach me how?" And we started growing in whatever ways we wanted by leveraging each other's skills. At that point, we actually started to intentionally work the soil, coming back to this model of generativity. So we wanted to build this on the foundation of peace, love, unity, and having fun, which are the tenets of hip-hop. And we had enough membership to actually rent a dedicated space with a wood-sprung floor, so we weren't getting bruised all the time. And we practiced for an hour about 3 times a week. Right? We taught anyone who wanted to learn. It didn't matter whether or not you were paying dues, how much experience you had. If you walked into the door of that practice hall, we would teach you how to dance. Right? We did not discriminate whatsoever. Every practice started with 15 minutes of foundation. So we started with basically teaching people three moves. One is top rock, which is basically how you start a dance. Right? Next was a freeze. A great way to end a dance is basically holding your body in a certain position. And the third one is footwork right here, which they could either do in the middle of their set, or if all of a sudden they were dancing and they spaced, they could fall back on this. So these 3 steps were basically our safety net. And then we brought in the water in our environmental conditions. We said, between those 3 moves, you can innovate however you would like. You can learn whatever you want, put whatever you'd like in between those combinations. Right? And if you didn't know what to do, tell you what, we have other people within the organization, experts, that are more than happy to help you. So that next 30 minutes was spent, that individual can go to whoever he wanted within the organization. If they wanted to learn better top rock or how to innovate to the beat, there was someone who was able to work with them. If they wanted to learn power, they'd go over to the people over by the crash mats and learn how to spin on their heads, spin on their backs, do whatever they wanted. We didn't limit people to anything. We allowed them to grow in their own unique way. Right? Then we brought in air. So there's this concept in breaking called a cipher. And a cipher is when a spontaneous circle just kind of comes up from nowhere. And it's this circle of dancers. It could be anywhere from 3 to 20, 30. Right? And there's always one dancer in the middle. And there are a lot of competitions in breaking. The cipher is where you're free to be yourself. You have no judges. You can dance however you want, however you see fit. And the reputations that are built in the cipher actually hold more weight than the successes that you earn in competition. Right? So at the end of every dance, we talked about first 15 minutes, 30 minutes in the middle to work on whatever they wanted. The last 15 minutes of the day, every single person in that dance hall circled up, and we created a cipher at the very end. Everyone who practiced that day was required to go in there. So we'd form a circle, everyone would be clapping, we'd play our best music. Right? Each one would go in whenever they were ready and do whatever they wanted to. Right? If someone entered the circle, give them, yeah, woohoo! You know, whatever we did to pump those people up. Right? If they tripped up, failed, just crashed and burned, we'd pick them up. Say, you got it, try something else, you got it next time, right? Hop in again. We absolutely went crazy if someone had been working on something for like a month, and they finally nailed it, perfect, and especially right to the beat too. We would just go wild. The whole circle would just get destroyed. Everyone would be running all over the place like crazy. It was probably insane to watch. But it was all about creating that supportive environment. And ultimately, those individuals who'd been there just for that day, who hadn't had any practice, were a little tentative getting into the dance, right? It's a little bit like public speaking. You almost fear it worse than death sometimes, but if you can get here, it's decent. Hey, so you've got the person kind of hiding behind others. They're kind of shifting to the side so no one sees that they're not stuck in the circle. And all the experienced dancers are keeping an eye out for that. So when we see that, what we do is we walk out there and we kind of glance them in the eye, right? And we just go out there and make a total fool of ourselves. So my go-to was always the crash and burn, and then if you've ever seen the Three Stooges where he's laying on his side and then like spins around in a circle, that was my go-to, right? And then maybe back swim out of the circle. So after seeing that, you cannot possibly make more of a fool of yourself than I just made of myself, right? And typically at that point, stand up, look at him and say, come on in. Everyone cheers super loudly. Everyone gives them a hand. Whatever they do, no matter how good it is. Right? We want to support them, know the importance is getting in that circle, dancing, trying, experimenting, not how well you do in the circle. It's all about the process. So we also allowed our dancers to explore in whatever way they wanted to. For some, that individual group and learning from each other wasn't enough. So we created an elite group, if you will, called Four Styles. We essentially took dues and we allowed them to go out and take workshops, battle across the Midwest, learn from the best dancers in the world, basically. We also held pizza parties. We started to convene people. They started to work on homework together and finding their own unique ways to connect, grow, leverage each other's strengths. So by the last year, we finally gathered up enough money to host our very first event in Purdue's history. Right? Actually, word got around and Red Bull stepped up and they sponsored this event for us. Right? That's how big we've become. We probably had 45 plus members at that particular point in time. So we had dancers from around the US travel to West Lafayette, Indiana, hundreds of spectators from all walks of life coming in to see what it was all about. Out of those 45 plus members, over 25, I don't have the exact number, but over 25 attended this thing. Out of those 25, 12 of them entered competition for cash prizes against some of the best dancers in the US. And they organized themselves based on who had what skills and what they think was needed to do the best that they could. Right? So they cherry-picked, oh, you're really good at power, you're really good at hitting beats, you're really good at this aspect, that aspect. They pulled them together to the group that they thought would be most successful for that particular event. Right? Some won, some lost the first round. Every single person came out better. They made friendships against the dancers that some of them even lasted for life. Right? Everyone came away more inspired. Now, between competitions, remember the cipher concept I talked about, this whole event will break down. You don't see this is probably half the venue. Then we just got a mob of people all the way back. The whole thing breaks out into probably 8 to 10 ciphers. And we're all keeping eyes out on our dancers from our club. By the end of that night, 100%, we counted every single one of our dancers stepped into that circle and danced in front of a crowd of people that they didn't know and from around the world. Now that's impressive. So how did it happen? Now, we didn't recruit the best dancers. We didn't tailor our program to ensure that the best dancers got the support. We also didn't tailor our program to make sure that we brought up the worst dancers in the group. We catered to everyone. Essentially, all we did was build up environmental conditions, so air, water, soil, to allow everyone to connect, learn, grow, and succeed in their own unique way and how they innovate. So, thinking back on that original quote, right? Letting our own light shine and unconsciously giving others to do the same. What I realized through all this years is letting your own light shine might inspire others, so they might see your thriving, flourishing oak. But that doesn't give them the means to create their own, right? What we really need to do is shift to use our own unique light, our own unique skills, our flourishing oak, to enable the environmental conditions for others, oaks to grow a little bit taller, for others' lights to shine a little bit brighter. So when we all create the room to grow and flourish, we set ourselves up to, one, adapt to the needs of today and tomorrow. When we live in communion with each other, when we create and innovate in service to each other, we can ultimately reach our full potential. And to me, that's generativity. So my challenge to this group, today, tomorrow, the rest of this week, figure out how you can use your unique skills, expertise, and be that raindrop, build that relationship to enable the conditions for one person, starting with one, to grow a little bit taller.